I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is March 16th, 2018, and in this video I'm going to be going over printing out this awesome bust of Caesar that is also a pencil holder. Okay, before I download, install this, and make it and start getting going on that, I just want to kind of go over homeschooling, because we homeschool. And so this 3D printer is one reason I want to do this channel. What I want to emphasize more than most things is 3D printing and helping. I'm convinced now, after having it just this long, that if you're homeschooling, a 3D printer might become, I'm on the bandwagon. I think it's essential. And I want to convince homeschoolers that, boy, there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And so with that, I think there's at least 3 avenues that 3D printing can really help you in homeschooling. And so one of those is just learning the 3D printer itself. So if your kids happen to grow up and go into manufacturing, go into AutoCAD, go into programming, go into robotics, it's got all those kind of cool things with it. So there's just the actual 3D printer aspect of it. Another thing that I think is going to be really big and that we can use is creating objects that we can use in the classroom. And that's what this actual video is going to be. Here's a bust of Caesar, so it's kind of good to learn about Caesar and have something you can touch and feel and see and understand who Caesar was. It's also got a good, interesting story because it's a pencil holder and he's stabbed in the back. You know, Caesar was stabbed in the back by the Senate. That's how he was assassinated. And so it becomes a teaching tool. And there's all kinds of things I think you can print out that become teaching tools that can help you be more effective in your classroom and can probably save you money for being that effective. So like if this bust existed somewhere, it probably costs 10 or 20 or 30 bucks. I'm not going to go buy that for a little lesson, but I'll print it out. And so your class will become more effective for cheap, for a little bit of cost. Also, there's a lot of things my wife wants that she has a hard time finding. Like I guess she was looking for shapes, and she couldn't find the exact shape she wanted, except for it was like in a big pack of a bunch of extra stuff. And so just the availability to get what you want in the quantity you want to help teach your class, I think, is a big deal too. And then the third thing, which I think is wrapped up in the second thing, I might be using the word wrong. My wife might yell at me for using the word wrong. But I guess the teachers use this word manipulatives, which I believe kind of covers what I just talked about, but also covers other area that I see my wife doing with my kids. She's a professionally trained teacher who's doing homeschooling for our kids. And so one thing I've seen her do is like when they're trying to learn letters or words. So they'll write a word out, and to help cement it in her mind better for my daughter, she'll make her go, rather than just write it out in pencil 100 times, it's like, oh, go write it out in the sand. Then go take another one and write it out in straws or different objects or rocks or stuff, just to help them emphasize stuff like that. And I think there's some ideas that you can do with 3D printing. I'm not sure what they are. I need to work with my wife to understand that can help you teach your kids. And I think it's going to be really effective. But anyway, so with that, I think that this is going to be really cool. So this will be the first one I'm going to be doing of something like that, along those lines to, okay, it's really cool. It's not just for homeschooling. It's kind of a cool thing to print out anyway. But it applies in our case to homeschooling, because we're going to sit down and teach our kids about Caesar, at least a little lesson. Anyway, so let me go here. It's here's where it's located at. It's on Thingiverse. It's thing 2536988. And just go down here, and I'll click on here to download the STL file. And let me go over here to my downloads folder. Oh, still downloading. Okay, so there's my STL folder. And let me bring up my Prusa control. I'm just going to drop that on here as it thinks. And now looking at this, it is kind of big. And so I saw somewhere that apparently someone had printed at 75% of size. So I want to see how that turns out. I think that's going to be big enough, so we'll see. So I'll drop it down to 75% of size and leave it kind of centered there. Looks really cool. And according to some people on the website, they were saying that they were printing this without supports and it worked out great. So I am really curious. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to print it out without supports and see how well it does. Oops, back there in the center. Just see how well it does. So let me click on generate. Boom, there we go. Okay, so it looks like he signed his name on the bottom. That's kind of cool. That's a cool idea. So this should be really cool. We'll see how it prints out and see how long it takes. So let me go save the G code. It says 8 hours and 57 minutes, so we'll see. Let me go. I'll just put this in downloads for now, but I'll move it over. Okay, so let me go transfer that to the Prusa and see how well it does. Okay, here's a quick video showing its construction. Now the whole thing took about 16 hours and 7 minutes. It took 12.6 cents worth of electricity, and I'm counting my electricity at 10 cents per kilowatt, so you can change it according to wherever you're at. Also, it took 40.19 meters of filament, and at 6 cents a meter, that comes out to $2.41 just for the filament. And for filament, I'm using the assumption that a 1 kilogram roll is about 333 meters, and cost roughly, when all is said and done, $20. So you can adjust that based on what you're doing. So the grand total for this print was $2.53. And here it is. And it is pretty awesome. This thing, I don't know how well I can show it in the camera. It has a lot more detail than I thought, a 3D printer should be able to do. And it's really, really cool. So my kids are impressed with it. My wife's impressed with it. And you can put pencils in it, which is really cool. So at 75%, it turns out it's a good fit. It's a good size to stick pencils in. However, if you have something a little fatter, like I got these fat, what are these? Uniball Signo pens, I guess, that have a little bit of a rubber into it. They're not going to fit in here. So if you're getting some bigger things in here, you probably want to print this at 100% size, I'm guessing. But I am this is cool. I'm really impressed with what the 3D printer can do and what we got out of it. It's awesome. The only thing that I did notice, I don't know if I can show it too well on the camera, is underneath his chin, because there was no support, there's a little bit of dripping. But not much. Not much at all. Not enough to complain about. I could just, and under his nose, a little tiny bit. But not worth complaining about. That's just cool. And for a couple bucks, I have a good learning lesson and a pencil holder, which my wife needed both. Cool. So there you go. Good for your desk, good for homeschooling, good for a lesson. I'm just really stoked, and I hope I can find more cool stuff like this and figure out what my wife and my children need to help them do their homeschooling with a lot of 3D printing. It's just cool. Everyone needs a Caesar with a bunch of pencils stuck in his back. Anyway, okay, so on the end of this video, I'll add a longer time lapse for people who like to watch time lapses, which I am one of you. They're really cool watching 3D printers build stuff. Okay, that should be it for this fun video of building a Caesar bust. hey, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we were doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.